can design a better cooling system. So I took that to the faculty, and in the off hours, off of school, we created a better cooling solution, a better liquid cooling solution. And kind of that's how Fluix came about in the early years. We've since pivoted from that, but that's kind of where we started off.
We are here with my friend Abhi Sastri from Fluix, and Abhi was a TechStars grad. So Abhi, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike.
So for people that don't know, who is Abhi and what is Fluix?
Yeah, so my name is Abhi Sastri. I have a background in technical sales. Went to school for aerospace engineering, but didn't really go to class. Spent most of my time building high performance PCs, high performance servers, sold it to architects, gamers. And what Fluix is, well, that's kind of how we transitioned into founding Fluix. What we do at Fluix is we manufacture the world's most powerful liquid coolers. And with our liquid cooling solutions, we're able to cool down the world's most powerful computers, supercomputers, servers, gaming PCs, and workstations. So in essence, we eliminate the challenge of heat for the world's most powerful computing.
So what motivated you to start this?
Yeah, so it was actually in 2017. Lost all my scholarships. Well, 2015, lost all my scholarships. Obviously, came from an Asian immigrant background. Education was number one. Came in with a whole bunch of scholarships from high school. Took me 6 weeks, Mike, to lose everything. So I couldn't go back to my parents and say, hey, I can't pay for school. I can't pay for rent. So what I did was I started buying graphics cards, motherboards, components on Craigslist, on Facebook Marketplace, and flipping them. And that's kind of where the grind really set in. And humble enough, I had a great opportunity to sell my whole dorm room. So my whole dorm hall had PCs that I built. There was a cryptocurrency mining craze happening.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So just to quickly go over it, how it started was it was a need for me to pay for classes and pay for rent. And I started building computers, building servers, gaming PCs for architects, engineers, and got to a point where, the business was making a considerable amount of money. I thought I was like Jay-Z or something. I was making a few grand a month. And then I met with some faculty at the University of Central Florida that had background in heat transfer and fluid mechanics. And there was a huge cryptocurrency mining craze. My customers asked me, when they switched out a air-cooled computer for a liquid-cooled computer, they saw higher efficiencies. So they said, hey, is there an opportunity that you guys can design a better cooling system? So I took that to the faculty, and in the off hours, off of school, we created a better cooling solution, a better liquid cooling solution. And kind of that's how Fluix came about in the early years. We've since pivoted from that, but that's kind of where we started off.
Okay. So then what's the stage of the company now and what are you working on?
Yeah. So what Fluix does now is we manufacture high performance all-in-one liquid coolers for workstation and server manufacturers. So when a desktop computer or a server computer gets manufactured, we plug in our coolers right into the assembly line. We have 4 reoccurring clients. We do about $50,000 in revenue in the last couple of months, and we have $100,000 in bookings. We've raised $185,000 in venture.
Oh,
And
cool.
we're opening up a round as well. We have 3 locations right now where all of our products are U.S. manufactured in Knoxville, Tennessee, but we do most of our operations in Tampa, Florida. And our goal is to, by the end of 2022, is to launch 5 main pilots cooling down the world's most fastest supercomputers. Quickly to go over the problem, data centers are the second most power intensive type of real estate on the planet, and they're going to use 20% of the world's power consumption by 2040. With our solution, a data center would be able to pack the more compute power per area and be more efficient per area of compute power they own. So not only will they be able to increase revenue, they'll be able to cool down their equipment more efficiently to meet that data demand of tomorrow.
Wow. So yeah, you're central to a big problem in the world. Impacts both, power generation, but also obviously the data centers themselves, which everything, software, as software eats the world, data centers are, kind of the underpinning, right?
100%. And
That's really
and
interesting.
I want to make this clear. It's not that, we're essentially trying to become a more climate change is a huge issue. We know that, but we're trying to allow the demand that humans have for compute power. Right now, if we continue with that demand and use the current cooling infrastructure we have, we'll never meet that demand. With our solution, not only will we meet the demand and allow for more computing to happen, but do it more efficiently.
So how did you acquire your first customer?
First customer was actually a esports arena.
Oh,
We
okay.
built a wall-mounted liquid-cooled solution. It was all about aesthetics. That's why I said when we pivoted, we were more towards gamers and esports. So the whole idea was a wall-mounted water-cooled system for a streamer or a gamer. So it's an esports arena, and they're actually really cool. So we built a one-off system from them. And then one thing we realized, we had a direct-to-consumer product back then. We did about a few $1,000s in sales. And then there was a owner of a high performance workstation manufacturer, a desktop computer manufacturer, a B2B client in California that reached out to us and they said, hey, can you build an all-in-one product? Our vision changed. And, if since we have a couple of minutes, Mike, the company wasn't doing so great at that point. 2020, I had to use my aerospace degree, so I went to go get a DoD contractor job, and I
Wow,
worked
okay.
at the job for 22 days to pay for the bills. But I took a considerable long lunch breaks, and during my lunch breaks, I had Fluix demos in the trunk of my car, and I
Wow.
would go door to door for computer manufacturers and demo the tech. And one of our biggest clients was landed that way. And the next day, after I landed that client, I called the job and said, "Hey, I'm not coming in." So
That's amazing. Wow.
yeah,
I love that. That's hilarious.
yeah,
Well, if you if you could give advice, because you're building physical products, what's one piece of advice you could give founders about creating new products?
yeah. So the speed of finding a need, and then the speed to where you can fulfill that need is incredibly important. One thing that I realized for me, I take this advice for myself. That time it took for us to create the product, validate it, was time that was needed, but that time it took for us to really push and promote and sell the product was way too long. We should have been selling and promoting the product from day one. And most people believe, hey, you got to perfect the product. Of course, you got to get to the product a certain level, but I should have been pushing and promoting that product from day one. I would have had a lot more sales, a lot more customers early on. And I think people are afraid to ask for the sale, to actually pick up the call and call as many people as you can, go through that denial phase and say, hey, we can move 50 units. Would you like to move forward with a contract? Can I send you over a contract? It's very difficult sometimes to do that. I went through that pain and I went through that obstacle. So my advice would be, if you have an indication for a need and you have built something, not that doesn't have to be perfect, start selling it. Go ahead. I think the universe gives us
I love
permission
it.
to.
Well, I think we see that in real world. Like, let's use the most extreme example of Tesla, right? Like, I still don't have my Cybertruck,
Yeah,
and I accidentally
yeah,
actually ordered. I actually
yeah,
ordered two by accident because I couldn't find the first one, but I still don't
yeah,
have either of them. But
yeah.
so they got my deposit. They're building and perfecting the product, and I'm willing to wait because I know it's got a big promise. So I love that
100%.
advice.
And the panel gaps, right? For years, Tesla sold products. They sold thousands of products that had huge panel gaps. It wasn't perfect, but they were still one of the best EV car manufacturers, best selling. And now they're going to become the best selling auto manufacturer too. It's a great story. Yeah.
Robots next.
Robot.
We should sell them some cooling. I think they got a lot of those
Oh man.
gigafactories are crazy.
We,
And
we we got something in the pipeline, but I'm not going to say anything yet. Yeah.
well,
Nothing to do with Tesla, but something.
well, I love that because if you look at part of our model with founders packages, we're trying to help founders, and we say rapidly prototype and then go sell to the person you claim will buy this and get some
Right.
nominal amount of money. Like, if you
Right.
can't get $100 for something that's vaporware that you plan
Yeah.
on building, how are you going to get like more for something that may or may
Right.
not be a great product?
Right. And I love that you bring that up. And I'm gonna make this quick point. I really learned that from drop shipping. Those drop shipping guys online they're making money, and they don't have a product.
They have no
They
product. Yeah,
they have no product.
that's so
So yeah.
funny. Well, I think we're in a little, it's easier to get product or build it today than, maybe 15 years ago. So we're
Yeah.
definitely in a much more positive area. Well,
Yeah.
I want to be conscious of your time. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can reach us on our website, Fluix Pro, FLUIXPro.com. You can see all of our products there. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. But mostly we're on Instagram at Fluix Cooling if you want to reach us out. And people tell me not to plug everything that we have, but if you want to see more of our build videos, we're making a lot of product videos and you can see all of that stuff. You can go to Fluix Inc. on YouTube, and that's where we primarily do a lot of videos, daily uploads. So
Awesome. I love it. All right.
yeah.
One final thing is when we have interesting people on the podcast, we'd like you to nominate other interesting people. We talk to investors and entrepreneurs starting scalable ventures. So who would you, Abhi, like to nominate as a future guest to form your own pack?
I have so many people. And I think a lot of people will be like, hey, why didn't you say me? But the one person that comes to mind, because I see him killing it all the time, is his name is Mason. The
Okay.
company is called Source. I'll send you the information after, Mike. It's an Orlando venture-backed company. They're going through an accelerator program right now, and their demo
Okay.
day is coming back. And they built some amazing, amazing stuff. So company is
Cool.
called Source, and I'll send you Mason's info.
All right, Mason, you've been nominated as a future guest. Thanks, Abhi, for coordinating this, and we are excited to watch your journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mike. Take care.